Hi guys, it's Susie, and I am ready to do the tutorial on my little adorable paper bag albums. Uh, I have to say that this idea, of course, was Gayle here on YouTube, and I will link her channel, of course, in the description box so that you can go over and check out her channel. My inspiration came from her little paper bag. She did some little paper bag junk journals. And I love them so much that I decided to put my own spin on the insides. So the images that I have, of course, are Pinterest images. And anyway, I'm going to show you how to put these together. What you're going to need is, of course, your images. And I always get mine inked up. I even go ahead, I just get me a piece of fabric, whether it's muslin or just the thin white, nice, I'm sure it's probably cotton. It feels like cotton. Anyway, some kind of fabric that will hold the stain. Not a silky fabric, but just a nice fabric that I think will hold stain. When I coffee dye my papers, I also try to coffee dye the fabric. So once I've done that, all I do is just take my image and I put it on a piece of my coffee dyed fabric. I actually sew it on and then cut it out. So that's kind of the way I do it. But I ink those images first, and I pick out the images that I want in my journal. You're going to need some bags, and I use the Paper Studio Sacks and Things brand from Hobby Lobby. They are 4.75 inch by 9.25 inch, and they're $2.99, and most times you can use your 40% off coupon on these. So if they're not already on sale, a lot of times they're on sale, so that just brings it down to about $1 and what, 70 cents or 80 cents. That's about $2. So anyway, pretty cheap to get your bags. 12 bags in a package. So anyway, this is the size. 4.75 inch by 9.25 inch. Okay. And then I like to use from Walmart the Natural Polished Hemp. It's a nice thin kind of jute here. I like to use it. And then I use that on some of my journals. And then on some of my journals, and this journal in particular, I like to get the waxed cord from Walmart also. And it kind of looks like this. I don't know how much this is. I don't remember, but it's like $2.99 or $3.99, something like that. And anyway, here's a roll of it that I've been using. I like to use about 16 or 17 inches. I try to go ahead and cut it because I try not to be too wasteful, but if you cut it too short, you can really have a hard time binding your book. Of course, if you cut it too long, you do have a lot of waste. So I did distress my edges with the Tim Holtz Distress Stain Walnut color. Okay, once I have my images inked and I go ahead and get my cover piece sewn on, then I get my coffee dyed papers or whatever papers you're using, whether it's book pages or ledger, you know, the ledger paper. Whatever you're using. I use even some writing tablet paper there. A glassine bag. I just get the things that I am using. Like here, this one will have a guest check. I get all of that, parchment paper, and I put my papers in the order that I want them. I cut them down. And the size, if you're using the Sacks and Things Paper Studio brand, I cut mine 4 1/8 wide by 4 1/2 long. That's the size that I cut my papers. So anyway, but then I just arrange them in order. If I'm adding washi tape or whatever I'm doing, I do that at that time when I arrange the bags. So once I get the bags arranged, I go ahead and sew my images on. And here's what my images are going to kind of be like. I do my little flip there on my ledger paper. I go ahead and sew any lace pockets or whatever I'm going to use, I go ahead and sew all of them on. This is kind of what this one came out like. Here I even added a little fabric pocket. This was off some Tim Holtz fabric. This is just like a little pocket out of, looks like an envelope. And a glassine bag. I just put everything in the order that I'm going to want it. I stitch whatever I'm going to stitch on. Like here's my, not a glassine bag, but parchment paper. Here I've made a band. I'm just making a band out of some fabric. But anyway, I get everything where I want it, so that all I have to do is get it ready to be tucked, bound in the bag. So anyway, that was my next step. The bag itself, after I've coffee stained it, I get it coffee dyed it. I go ahead and ink it up, and a lot of times I will cut this down. I think there's just too much of this bag on there. So whenever I get ready to tie it, it seems like it's kind of just too much. So all I do is just eyeball it. I take my scissors and just kind of cut some of it down. Just try to make it look a little even there. Okay? And I just throw that away, and then I just take and I ink this back up is what I do right here. Just take that and kind of get some ink back on it there. Alright, once I have that part ready, I just kind of eyeball it then, kind of even. I take my tape runner so that I can attach this just a little bit here so that it will hold. And then I use about a yard of seam binding because I want to have plenty to tie. So I get my yard of seam binding and I just measure center and then put my center here and kind of stick it down. And that's how I do that. I want to make sure that I'm kind of in frame. So, okay, so once I have that put on, I will take my glue. And I found there are several types of glue. I bought this last time at Hobby Lobby. And it's Helmar's 450 quick dry adhesive, and I really like it, and I like it because of the lid. I also like this mixed media glue, Beacons. I like that too, but I like the lid on this one because you just that's open and that's closed instead of opposed to having to pull it off. So anyway, I'm just gonna make a mess. I'm going to get a little glue on here, and this is just kind of how I do it. I don't overdo my glue, but I want enough on there that it's going to kind of hold. Okay, so I just get that glue stuck on there. If you get any on your seam binding or anything, be sure and get it off. Okay, and then I just stick it down on my bag where I want it. Kind of push that down a little bit. Okay, and it will stick really well and really fast, so you don't usually have to. It definitely is a quick dry. I'm gonna get me a little towel here and kind of wipe my hands off a little bit. Wipe the seam binding off a little bit where I got that glue on there. Okay, so once you have that on, then your bag is ready. And then I do put a little image on the back, like so. And I don't have one. I usually stitch it on a little paper or something. So anyway, and that will go on my back, and then that will hold that seam binding nice and tight on there. So anyway, that will be my cover for this book right here. Okay, once I have the cover finished, and here I've got one already finished. Here's my image that'll be on the back of this one. And then here's my front. Then I go ahead and start filling. And you may want to, sometimes you get a little bit of glue that wants to pop kind of in there. So just make sure that's open. I go ahead and start stuffing my things where I'm going to want them, my tags and things. And I still have to put a tag in there. but I just kind of start putting things where I'm going to want them. Like here, I will probably put something there to tuck that on that parchment paper. Here's a little image that I'll put in the pocket there. But anyway, I just start filling them where I'm going to put them in the bag, or in the mini. So start getting them ready. Now I usually don't leave them in there when I go to bind the book, but I'm going to today. But anyway, I get these nice and kind of tucked even. I get them put in here where I kind of look and make sure I'm not hanging down here or hanging over here. Okay, and then you want to just find center. Find my center here. And on my center, I always like to have it a white, one of the white pages. I don't know why. I don't want it to be ledger paper. I don't want it to be parchment. I want it to be the white paper, so the regular copy paper. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do this again here. Make sure I'm just where I need to be. Find my center. Okay, now you can clip this, and if it's a bigger album, I would clip it, put one of these big clips on it to hold it. But since it is just a small bag, I don't worry about it. And I always eyeball center. I use the little Tim Holtz, it's like a paper piercer, right here, Tonic Studios, Tim Holtz. And I just kind of eyeball center. Whoops. Get my ribbon out of the way here. Okay, so all I'm doing is eyeballing center and poking it through. And I try to make sure it's nice and where I can even see through it looking inside the bag. So I just take my waxed cord, and I do use a pair of pliers. I don't like to try to pull that through. And I just pull it through, and I leave about a tail about that long. Okay, and then what I do is I get this again, and I'm just poking through on this side to the outside. Okay, and again I can see through it, and that's what I want to do. That way I know I can just bring it right through there. Okay, and I just pull this through with my pliers. Okay, kind of pull it tight there a little bit. Not too tight because you'll rip your paper. Then I just eyeball the distance between here and here, and I just simply do it there. And then I'm going to go from the inside out again here. Get my pliers, pull that needle. Okay, and then I've got my little wax cord on one side of the string on the inside. So what I'm going to do now, and a lot of times I will take my little piercer here and make sure I've got that hole nice and through, because I don't want to have to fight. And then what I do is I just bring this back in on the other side of the string. So I've got one piece where I started, the tail, on one side of the string, and then I have my ending tail on the other side of the string, so it's just kind of in the middle. I pull it where it's a little tight. I just take it, tie a knot one way, kind of flip the strings, okay, and tie the knot the other way. And then here is my binding right here. And then if you like this white showing, that is good, but if you don't, just take a little bit of your distress stain, or even just some nice looking, I use VersaFine a lot in the sepia, vintage sepia, and just kind of go over that somewhat. Okay, and actually this is the book. It's that easy, and that's the process that I do them in. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that. Thanks so much for watching.